Alright, this may be one of the most anticipated videos in channel history because I haven't updated this in a good 4 years, so let's do this. Alright, so it's time for my opinion on every active Cup driver. We're going to start with the ones that are just full-time. We're going to go in numerical order. If someone pops up that I recognize here, you know, and I want to say something about them, like, I have very little to say about, like, Corey LaJoie, Cole Witt, Reed Sorensen. I don't really think that my opinion on them is that relevant at this point, so we're going to just go with full-time drivers. So be sure to check out the guide in the description if I remember to make it. And yeah, so let's go. Screw it. Starting with number 1, it's Jimmie McMurray. Yeah, old Jimmie Mc. Well, you know, the thing is, I've never had a problem with Jimmie McMurray, ever. Not when he was at Chip Ganassi, not when he was with Roush, and not when he went back to Chip Ganassi. I still think the 2010 Daytona 500 is one of the best finishes in the Daytona 500, but, you know, comparing to all the other Daytona 500s that I've had to live through, yeah, I'd say that probably is the best one. When it's like an average situation, but okay, the point that I'm trying to make is that I really don't have anything against McMurray, except that he's really just taking up space in the Cup Series, and he's really proving it this year. Because last year, Chip Ganassi had probably the strongest team on the track, and he was still unable to get a win. And he was still able, not only did he not get a win, he was unable to really even be competitive for a win at any track, including the tracks he's actually good at, such as super speedways and Charlotte for some reason. Yeah, he hasn't found victories since 2014 in the All-Star race, which I still can't believe happened, by the way. I still genuinely can't believe that happened. I actually had to look back at, like, a replay of the race, because I saw that in Racing Reference, and I was like, wait, what? That doesn't seem right. And you know what? It is right. So, I don't know what it is about Jimmie McMurray. He's kept his career alive with so few wins, though, is the most impressive thing, I'd say. So, at the end of the day, I'd say McMurray is pretty low on the list. He's a really average person here. Let me actually look. Yeah, he's like the pinnacle of neutrality in my actual PowerPoint, but yeah. So that's McMurray. Moving on to Brad Keselowski. Now, I actually think that Brad Keselowski is actually one of the most talented drivers in the field. He was on the best team in NASCAR in 2015, yes, but he was still able to get, I think, 25 top 10s out of the season. He was on a top 10 streak, I think, from the first Bristol race to, I don't know. It was a while, basically. And I mean, he only got the one win by bullshit means that year. But, like, you take a look at him, like, last year especially, like, in clutch situations, Keselowski is so... He's an absolutely cool driver when it comes to that. All the Talladega races that he's won when he was in position to not make the next round of the chase, like, he is a very clutch driver. And how he played Carl Edwards a few years ago at Kentucky, that was beautiful. You see, the thing about Keselowski is I think he's one of the most talented drivers in the field, but the problem that he has is that he's cool under pressure, but like in every other situation, he's kind of just For Brad Keselowski to propel himself to the next level, he needs to be winning multiple races per year. He had that going for him in 2012 and 2014, but he really hasn't had it since, and that's the problem. He goes on hot streaks like that in a season, but then he'll have a cool season the next year. And even though he's not, you know, finishing outside the top 30 every race, he's just on the verge of being one of the best drivers in the series, and he can take the next level. I don't know how he can do it. He needs to find a way. But in any case, oh boy. Yay. Next driver. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm sure people jumped to this. I'm sure this is the one that people looked in the description for. Maybe Ty, on the other hand. No, Austin. Son of Mike. Oh, yeah. Well, he's got the championships going for him at least. Bare minimum, you know, through all of the bullshit that got him the championships, from all of the choking from everyone around him that got him the championships, you know, at least he has them. I mean, Hornish should have won the 2013 Nationwide Series championship. He absolutely should have, and the fact that he didn't is an embarrassment on Sam Hornish Jr. But, yeah. God, Austin is just a very mediocre driver. That's really all it is. Austin's just mediocre. He's good enough to get you a top 10 here and there, but, like, even in good equipment, he'd probably make the chase, and that's about it. He'd be a McMurray, probably. I think he's on the same level as McMurray, maybe a bit lower, because McMurray's actually won races on speed in the past. You know? But yeah, that's about it. That's really all I have to say. And you know what? The thing about Austin is, I didn't even hate him that much before he dumped Almirola. I didn't even hate him that much. I had him on my hated list because I didn't have enough room in the neutral list. I actually had Chase Elliott hated more than Austin because I didn't have enough room in the neutral list, okay? Like, if he won that Daytona 500 without dumping Erik, I would have been like, what the fuck did I just witness? But I wouldn't have been like... I might have been a little salty about it, but, like, I wouldn't have been, like, furious. Like, it's not that hard to pass someone, okay? Moving on. Kevin Harvick. Fucking hate him. It's hard to deny that he is talented, yes. He's absolutely a very good driver. And you know what? I would have respect for him if it wasn't for 2015 Talladega. It would be probably a Jimmie Johnson type situation where I just despise him to the core, but you have to respect him for what he's accomplished. But but you see, the thing is, 2015 Talladega, where he blatantly dumps Bayne, even though he shouldn't have even been in that position in the first place. That entire... God, NASCAR really dropped the ball with that. Why did they... God, that race. That race is on the level of Spingate as far as how much of a pile of shit it was. That was just an embarrassment. An absolute embarrassment of a finish, but... It's hard to deny Kevin Harvick's talent. He's a leech, so that really drops him down a few levels. Forgot to mention that about Keselowski. I would like Keselowski a lot more if he wasn't a leech. But as for Harvick, yeah, he's a leech. Good work. 42 years old, and you still need to beat the shit out of kids. Even in K&N, too. Good job, Kevin. You're really accomplishing a lot by doing K&N races. Moving on, Trevor Bayne. You know, I actually like Trevor Bayne. That's the thing. I actually like him. He is in the neutral sector on the PowerPoint, but a lot of people are on the neutral sector in the PowerPoint, so that really doesn't mean much. Yeah, Bayne, he's just you know? He's just He's always been His entire career, he's been And, like, you can't really say that much more. He's just There's nowhere to go from there. He's just I have no other feelings. He's I want him to succeed because I want to see the 6 car back in victory lane. Fucking David Regan can do it. Trevor Bayne can, but... And you know he was improving a little last year, but this year so far he's been awful. I don't know how much of that has to do with the team, but whatever. Yeah, he's just Moving on. Oh boy. Here's one that people jump to, I'm sure. Chase Elliott. Yay. Oh, good. This is going to get dislikes. I don't care for Chase Elliott. His championship in Nationwide, last year Nationwide for that matter. Yeah, that was nice. And he's done really nothing since. That's really about it. I do think that he's the best driver at Hendrick, at least last year. But, you know, that's not saying much. Hendrick is a little lopsided these days as far as the wins column is concerned. Just slightly. Not that much, just slightly. Yeah. I really have nothing else to say. I just think he's good, and that's about it. I guess we're moving on. Aric Almirola. Cool. Always liked him, even when he was on, when he was driving the 8 car. I was pissed whenever he was driving when it wasn't Martin, but I actually thought, you know, Almirola, he's kind of decent. And you see, the thing about Almirola that no one ever mentions is that he finished second in the Trucks Championship in 2010, I think. You know? He was competitive for a championship that year. And no one ever seems to remember this. But, yeah. And then he was competitive in the Nationwide Series for Junior Motorsports. And that was when Junior Motorsports was brand spanking new. And the only driver actually producing results for them was Brad Keselowski, who we all agree is extremely talented. But yeah, Almirola really showing his true colors this season. The absolute pinnacle of consistency. He definitely should have gotten a top 10, maybe a top 5 at Martinsville, but he kept getting speeding penalties. He moved up to like 6th, got a speeding penalty, fell all the way back to 30th, and then before the final trip down pit road, he was like 8th, and then he got another speeding penalty. So yeah, that's fantastic work. So basically, if he could stop shooting himself in the foot every single race, he'd actually be very competitive for wins, I think. Yeah. That's all I have to say for now. We'll see how things look later on. Yeah. Oh, and he's great at Richmond. So, if this video comes out before Richmond, don't be surprised if he wins that. Moving on to Denny Hamlin. Ooh, this'll get dislikes. I still like Hamlin. Yep. Still like Hamlin. I can't believe anyone actually, even after everything that's happened, how anyone can say that he's not one of the best drivers in NASCAR right now. He's been a race win contender every single year that he's been in the Cup Series. A multi-time winner, contender every year. He's been a championship contender pretty much ever since he came to the Cup Series, except for 2013. I mean, he's great. He's pretty damn good. And even in one of Joe Gibbs' worst seasons, 2014, that's the year he made the Final Four. And he could have easily made the Final Four every other year since, but stupid shit's happened that's prevented that, basically. I'm pretty sure he's one of the best drivers in the series. I don't know if I'd put him above Keselowski as far as talent is concerned, but he's definitely in the area. Those two are very good, basically. And yeah, Hamlin's good. But I really don't actually like him that much. I actually like Ryan Newman more than Denny Hamlin, so yeah. So I don't really like him that much, but he's definitely very talented. So moving on. Ryan Blaney, yes, finally, someone who matters. Ryan Blaney is my second favorite driver right now, and he's definitely one of the best in the series this year anyway. It's only his third full season in the Cup Series, but like I still think that he's probably a top 10 driver as far as talent is concerned in the series already. And yeah, he's pretty good. Basically is what I'm trying to say. He's pretty damn good, and I really like him, and I want him to succeed. So, that's about it. I really like Ryan Blaney, and I hope he succeeds. Oh, good. Hi. Did you skip here immediately as the video started? I bet you did. Oh, Ty. I used to think you were better than Austin. I really did. Even through all his championships, I still thought you were the better driver. And then 2015 happened. And then 2016 happened. And then 2017 happened. Basically, all I'm trying to say is that, yeah, I do think that Austin is the better driver at this point. But it's not really that... It's not really that much to say. I mean, when you're the son of Mike and you're the brother of Austin, you know, there's, you know, the two Austins that are the least deserving to be in the Cup Series are probably going to be the ones in the Cup Series next year. Austin in the 3, Austin Cindric probably going to take over the 21 at some point. But when guys like Austin Hill are getting top 10s for shit teams in the Truck Series, and Austin Terrio's off winning fucking championships, and these guys can barely hold a line. Yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that the entire Mike family dynasty is a plague in NASCAR and needs to be purged, but never will until sponsor money becomes less important. Oh boy, Clint Bowyer. He's God, you know. Did you know that Clint Bowyer is actually God himself? He's actually the greatest driver in NASCAR history. Yeah, above Jimmie Johnson. Clint Bowyer, just the greatest driver ever. Never mind the fact that he couldn't win for 6 fucking years. Yeah. Good work, by the way. Very impressed. Very impressed. Yeah. You know, Kyle Petty had as many wins as Clint Bowyer did for a long time there. It's recently changed, unfortunately, but hey. Things change, you know? Yep. Bowyer's the most mediocre driver in the series. I'd put mcmurray in the car before Bowyer. Well, you know what? I'm just looking at the entry list for next week's race, and Ross Chastain is listed, and he's done pretty much every Cup race this year, so you know what? May as well talk about him. Ross Chastain. Hey, he's a guy that's actually talented. Yeah, Ross Chastain, very good, and he's showing his true colors in Xfinity this year. JD Motorsports finally has a car that can contend for top 15s every week in Ross Chastain, and he's been nabbing a few top 10s here and there. This may be his best career season in the Xfinity Series, and he is absolutely lighting them up in the Cup Series. He is taking some of the worst equipment ever to ever be on track, and he's putting it in the top 25. It's even with reduced field sizes, that's still pretty impressive. Ross Chastain deserves a lot better, and I know everyone always talks about him. All the spotters always talk about him during the race, how he races with very little courtesy. And you know what? I can understand that to an extent. So that really does. That rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I don't know. They don't actually keep the cameras on Ross Chastain long enough for you to actually witness this kind of stuff happening. So I really don't know if it's just people bitching or if Ross Chastain actually is a bit of an asshole. But yeah, Ross Chastain could be a champion in Xfinity anyway. I don't know if he could be a Cup champion, but he's definitely very good. Moving on to Stenhouse. Well, you know what? How a guy can do a complete 360. Actually, more like a 720 in 2 years. Stenhouse used to be one of my most hated drivers in 2016 because he looked like an absolute trash pile, and I don't know how he won the nationwide championship 2 years in a row. If that's not a testament to just the failure to develop drivers from 2006 to 2013, if that's just a commentary on that, Stenhouse winning 2 championships, yeah. But then 2017 rolled around, and he actually started to look like he was a good driver, and he actually got to victory lane, and I was happy for him. He actually got to victory lane twice, and I was still happy for him. But this year so far, he's just proven to be just a pile, an absolute pile of a driver. Yeah, I don't know what changed from this year to last year, but Stenhouse is overdriving his equipment. He's not being very courteous on track. He's making very dumb moves and he's wrecking race cars. Last year I was so excited for him because it looked like Roush was actually going to be competitive again after 2016 and how he was starting to turn a corner then. And then last year rolled around and he actually got to victory lane. You know, I thought Roush might actually be a race win contender again, but that's definitely not the case anymore. Alright, here's another one that people jump to from the description, obviously. Yeah, the 18 of Kyle Busch. King Leech himself. I've said for a few years now that I would like Kyle Busch if he wasn't in the Xfinity Series every single week. Well, that was before he started being a complete and utter bitch every single week. Like, he used to be a bitch occasionally and do stupid things, but last year he was just a complete fucking dunce all year long. So, he hasn't been that bad so far this season, at least to my knowledge. But last year was just pathetic. That was just a sad, sad state of affairs. I was really, really, really hoping he'd spend a year not being able to find a real racetrack, but then everyone else on the track besides Truex and Kyle Larson forgot how to drive, so he got to victory lane multiple times as a result, sadly. Yeah. But that's about it. He is probably my... Where is he actually on the list? I have him listed as my third most hated driver. And you know what? I'll stand by that. I'll stand by that. So, yeah. Moving on. The 19 of Daniel Suarez. And if there was ever a more fitting driver to replace Carl Edwards, who was my pinnacle of neutrality, it would be Suarez. He absolutely did not deserve the 2016 Xfinity Championship. But... you know, since then he's just been such a non-factor in every single race that he's been entered in. It's just like, who cares? And yeah, he's pretty much replaced Carl Edwards as not only the driver on the 19 on track, but also as the pinnacle of neutrality. I have him listed actually above Chase Elliott, so maybe never mind. Maybe Chase Elliott's the pinnacle of neutrality, I don't know. But like Suarez, he's proven like there's been no real track that he could actually contend for a win at last year. I mean, Jones was competitive at Bristol. Blaney won at Pocono. If Chase Elliott could learn how to finish a race, he could have won any time last year, you know. But out of all the young drivers, you know, he's like the only one that I don't see being able to win any race. There's no track that he's visibly better than anyone else at. And, yeah. He's just there, kind of. Erik Jones is the next one on the list. And as for the actual list, he is my fourth favorite driver. And like I said in the last one here, he's definitely a Cup champion level talent. I think he was ready for Cup in 2016, I'll be honest. I didn't like him when he was in 2015 and he was running the Truck Series because he absolutely was way too good for that series. And he proved it by winning the championship with no competition pretty much. Like, he was absolutely ready for Cup in 2016. He should have had a full season of Xfinity in 2016. Or 15, I mean. I can't count. I'm sorry. And he proved it by winning not only the Truck Championship, but multiple races in the Nationwide Series in 2015. Like, I mean, there's no two ways about it. He's absolutely a Cup champion caliber talent. He needs to work on using up his tires, because he just kills them, and we've seen it so many times in so many different races, how he kills tires, and he's just dropping spots, you know. But, like, I don't know if he's turned a corner this year yet. He's only got a couple of top 10s, but then again, a lot of drivers this year have only gotten a couple top 10s. But yeah, I still think Jones is a Cup champion caliber talent. He's definitely better than a lot of drivers on track. If there was anyone that was deserving of replacing Matt Kenseth, it would be Erik Jones, but At the same time, Matt Kenseth should still have a race car, and he should be racing still, but what are you going to do? Paul Menard. The most nothing driver on track, and I still think he'll make the chase this year. Paul Menard's interesting, because he was just god-awful back in the day, but now he's like actually consistently good. And I mean, anyone that's been driving race cars at the top level for upwards of 10 years, I think most of them would be able to eventually become a consistently decent driver after all that time spent. And honestly, he should never have. He really should never have had the opportunity in the first place. He really didn't earn it. We all know why he's a Cup driver, and he's always been a Cup driver. We all know. But like now, he could actually prove that he is good enough to win races. Just he really doesn't deserve to be here. It's really a Dale Jr. situation where he was mediocre for several teams for several years. And yet he's still in the Cup Series. But yeah, Menard. Do I even need to talk about Logano? I feel like this entire channel is dedicated to me hating Logano. I think everyone should know my opinion by now. So, there's really no reason to talk. Yeah. I think you all know. William Byron is the next driver on the list. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know if he's actually good or if it's just been the equipment his entire career. I definitely think it was back in the Truck Series. I don't know if it was 100% equipment in Xfinity, but at the same time, Junior Motorsports was by far the best team last year, all around. Yeah, I mean, he's been average this year so far. I mean, he's got Darian Grubb as a crew chief, and he's one of the best crew chiefs in the garage area, right? But, like, he's also on what used to be the 5 car. And we all know what the 5 car's like, so I don't know. I don't know if Byron's good or not. And I mean, he's just neutral on the list, because I really don't care, but, like, still think Allgaier should have gotten it, but of course not. Oh yeah, and he also won the Xfinity Championship by bullshit means last year. When will Sadler win a championship? Probably never. I really don't want him to win a championship. At this point, it's kind of a Jeff Gordon 2010 situation where I'm just sitting back and laughing every time Sadler loses a championship, but yeah. Moving on. Ryan Newman in 31. I already said I like him more than someone, but Hamlin was, but yeah. You know, I think Newman still got it. He certainly should have been on the Race Hub top 50 drivers of all time. I still think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I was rooting the fuck out of him back in 2014 at Homestead. Really fucking wanted him to win the championship, but of course he didn't. Thanks to Joey Gase or whoever the fuck it was driving the 32 that week. But yeah, still think Newman could win a championship. Maybe not a championship. I don't think on speed alone he'd be able to win a championship. He certainly should have better finishes than he's gotten this year so far. He really fucked himself when he hit the wall in Atlanta this year. Because he had probably a top 10 contending car, maybe a top 5 car, and then he fucked himself. And he really hasn't been competitive since, but yeah. Also, he's a Daytona 500 winner. Forget that a lot. Next driver. Oh, it's Dibby. Fuck yeah, Dibby. I liked him in 2015, assholes. I liked him ever since he got to the Cup Series. Don't fucking call me a bandwagoner. Yeah, I really like Guido. I bought a goddamn diecast for him, okay? I have him listed as my actually 7th favorite driver. But like I've liked him since he got to the Cup Series. Ever since I was unable to pronounce his last name. Yeah. I think he outperformed BK Equipment in 2015. But like, you know, anyone driving BK equipment, you know, you're kind of screwed no matter what. Goodness gracious, but yeah. Yeah, I think Dibby could be maybe a chase contender. I don't know if he actually has the caliber to actually get a cup championship out of him. I think he could definitely contend for wins in a chase spot, but I don't know if he'd actually be able to win championship. Maybe an Xfinity championship, I don't know. But, like, he's definitely a good driver, regardless of how many people actually like him. I'm not appealing to popularity. I liked him in 2015. Shut up. Michael McDowell. Now we're talking. Now here's a driver that could be competitive in the Xfinity Series. And he proved it in his one-off race at Road America that he fucking dominated. And potentially the greatest day in racing back in 2016 when Michael McDowell won and Brett Moffitt won. That was a good day. That was a very good day. But yeah, I don't think he should be in this car. He deserves better than the 34. He should have a competitive Xfinity car, but he doesn't because of bullshit. And yeah, Michael McDowell's awesome. I don't think he'd actually have a championship in him. I think he'd be a race win contender in the Xfinity Series. I don't think he'd actually contend for the championship though. Maybe he'd be able to bullshit one with the chase system, but I don't think he'd actually have the full season speed. He's definitely good enough to win, but he's not. I don't think he's good enough to win a championship. Moving on, Chris Buescher, very underrated driver. His 2015 championship in Xfinity was incredible. I was rooting for Regan Smith, but I was happy that it was Buescher that won. Yeah, he's definitely very talented. He could be a chase contender easily if he was in a good car. But he kind of got fucked when he was trapped with Roush for all those years. And to be honest, he isn't. He's on JTG Jocktree. And, you know, I still think that they're the next Furniture Row. They've got the sponsors. They just need the alliances. And they just need the better drivers, which includes Chris Buescher. I'm talking about you, Allmendinger. If someone could pop into the 47, maybe they could. I still think they need to have a third car with number 57 with Hines. I think that'd be great, but I don't know if it'll happen. But yeah, Chris Buescher, definite talent. He could win multiple races in a year. He proved it many times last year and the year that he won. But he needs to not be driving shit cars. I think he could be the next Almirola. Move from a shitty team to a good team after a few years, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Now we're taking a look at David Regan. Yeah, the original nothing driver. I mean, in 2008 he could have made the chase, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. His 2 wins are pretty incredible. He was on Roush when they were strong, but he was also rushed to Cup, so they kind of did him dirty there. I don't think he could be competitive on a different team. I think his time has come and gone. He had that opportunity driving the 18, and I mean, he was dumped by Jeff Gordon for absolutely no reason at California, and I'm still salty about that. But he did get the top 5 at Martinsville, so. But that's the only top 5 that he got that entire season. It's the only top 10 he got that entire season. And I mean, MWR was shit. But I mean, he was in the 18 for a decent amount of time. It's like, you definitely should have done better, but what you gonna do? Kurt Busch, top 20 talent of all time. I mean, Kurt Busch, I'd say, is in the top 20 greatest drivers of all time. He should not, by all metrics, he should not have been a successful driver. Jumping from trucks to the Cup Series, I mean, this was the time when there wasn't driver development like there is now. So it wasn't as crazy of a jump, but like he had a rough year in 2000, but somehow he came, actually was that 2001, but he came back the next year. And he was absolutely lighting them up. Kurt Busch, great driver. He deserves to have a car for as long as he wants, but God knows he won't. I guess it all depends on how things shake out. over the years here, but Kurt Busch is great, and he deserves better. Next on the list is Kyle Larson. Still like him. He shouldn't have won 2 races last year. Truex should have won both of them, so kind of fuck him for that, but at the same time, you know what, who cares? Larson's great. He proved that last year. Chevys are down speed this year, clearly, and so is Ganassi as a whole, but he still has managed to put it together a few top 10s. This year is really going to be the true test for him. I think coming off of his career year last year, he needs to back that up. Maybe not with the exact same results, but at least similar results. And I still think if he can make the Final Four, he'd easily win Homestead and the championship. But he just needs to get there first. He just needs to not have bullshit happen to him. Have 3 straight engine failures, yeah. How about no? How about no on that home front, actually? Yeah. Larson's great, and he should be respected. Now, Darrell Wallace Jr. is a very interesting case. I think he is definitely a very talented driver. He's not ready for Cup, I don't think. But, like, he is exactly what the sport needs as far as a personality is concerned. So it is important for him to be in the Cup Series, but he also needs to be in a more competitive car. And RPM is not that. So that's a sad state of affairs, to say the least. Yeah, he's got potential. He's still pretty young. And he's got potential. But I don't know. He needs to find victory lane in not the Truck Series before I'll be convinced that he can be competitive in a piece of shit car like he is in right now. Because I definitely don't think that he is in a position in his career yet to be competitive in a shitmobile like Ross Chastain is. So, yeah. But he definitely has the potential. He just needs to unlock it by not being on a shit car. Next in line is AJ Allmendinger. Why in God's name did JTG Daughtry sign him through 2020? When that goddamn contract was announced, that was 2013, and I was thinking, what? What? Why? NASCAR is clearly not his true calling. Whenever he steps into a sports car and he's racing on the road courses, he's a goddamn magician. He's actually top-tier talent when it comes to road course sports car racing. He proves it every single time that we go to road courses in the series. I mean, he could be a perennial championship contender in like WeatherTech. Why did he sign to this long of a contract in the Cup Series? And whose fucking bright idea was it? He's blunting his own career by doing that. That was such a bad decision. He could be a top-level talent in... He could maybe even go to, like, open wheel. I don't know if he's actually going to be good at open wheel, because clearly his talents reside in big, heavy stock cars. Or, like, sports cars, I mean. Not stock cars, obviously. But, I don't know if he'd do good at open wheel. Maybe he could give it a shot, I don't know. But, like, he could be a Colin Braun of sorts. Get screwed over in the Cup Series. Actually, you know, the difference between him and Colin Braun is that Colin Braun actually showed potential in a stock car. But, yeah. Allmendinger's ruining his own career at this point. Well, here he is. Jimmie Jam Jubbity Job Johnson. My most hated driver for so fucking long. He made my life miserable. Fucking miserable. For so many years. It's hard to deny his talent. If I were to do the top 50 drivers of all time, it would be difficult for me to choose between David Pearson and Jimmie Johnson for number 1. Because to be this competitive for so long in this era of racing, I mean, to be this competitive, to compete at that level for so long, and only just now, you know, 14 years into his career, only just now is he slowing down. He had a bad season last year and still got 3 wins. Like, that's the standard that he's been driving at for so fucking long. I mean, even without even without championships, like if he hadn't won those championships and there hadn't been a chase and he didn't win those championships, you know, I still would put him probably in that top 3 all-time drivers list. Like, the championships column is really irrelevant. It's really the wins column. It's the wins per starts column. Like, absolutely insane. Like, he was just a robot. He used to be just a robot. I think in his 500th start, that was his 300th top 10 and 200th top 5. Like, that's how fucking mechanical his domination has been. It's incredible to think. And it's incredible to think that anyone denies his talent at this point. It is just insane to imagine. Like, I fucking hated him back then. I hated him because he was too good. And the championships were bullshit. But beyond that, like, he drove his equipment exactly the way it needed to be driven. And a lot of his success probably does need to be attributed to Chad Knaus, but there's no way he would have won a lot of those races if it hadn't been for driver talent. So, absolutely, Jimmie Johnson is one of the greatest drivers to ever set foot in a race car. Well, we're making the jump to Truex. Same for Logano. I think you should know by now. I think you should know by now. I still think that he's one of the best drivers on track. I said at the start of the 2017 season that he's the greatest driver in NASCAR. And he won the championship. So, kiss my ass, all of you. Moving on, Alex Bowman. Can you believe that? I remember watching him in the goddamn 2014 Daytona 500. Just floundering around, dude. It's incredible to think how his career has turned around. And, like, he's had a slow start to the season, yes. But, like, a lot of that was out of his control. And if you actually look at the races themselves, you can tell that Bowman's pushing himself. He had to go to the rear for, like, 2 straight races. He qualified 3rd at Phoenix, but got a speeding penalty and was back in the 30s, just like Almirola was at Martinsville, and worked his way back up to just outside the top 10. Like, he's just missed the top 10 in a lot of races, but I think a lot of that you have to blame on the fact that he kept getting sent to the rear, either for, you know, inspection shit or pit road shit. Like the last race in Martinsville, that without a doubt, he didn't have any issues the entire race, and he got a top 10 out of it. Like, I think that's the potential for Alex Bowman. He just needs to learn how to not make mistakes. He just needs to not have stupid shit happen that sends him to the rear of every single goddamn race. And if I don't really think his pit crew is really screwing up that much, except for when he got sent to the fucking rear because his pit crew was being an assload of shit. Like, they're being just good enough to keep him in the spot that he needs to be in. So, Bowman could easily be a multi-time race winner, and I still think he will be this year. He just needs to not have stupid shit happen to him. Well, the last driver on the list is Kasey Kahne. What an interesting note to end on this will be. I don't like him for pushing McDowell out of a car and a team that he built. And Kasey Kahne's, I don't think he's gotten a top 20 yet this year. So that's pretty good. Yeah, Kasey Kahne, he just pushed him out of a good car. It's just pissing me off, dude. Well, that was a pretty boring thing to end on, wasn't it? Wow. Thank you, Kasey Kahne, for your mediocrity. Yeah. That was the video. Every active driver. Well, that's full time anyway. And I mean, guys like Reed Sorensen, I think he's one of the most underrated drivers ever. Like, he could have been a Xfinity Championship contender and he got rushed to Cup. But that's really about it for him. Other guys on this list, that's really about it. yeah, so I hope this video was as good as you were expecting it to be for the last 4 years, and yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time I make a video, and all that good stuff. Bye!